Hi there, my name is Tom Bell, and welcome to my 5 Minute Friday video cast on Friday, the 13th of December. The 13th of December is a strange date for me. Those of you that know me will know that my sister Alison took her life on the 13th of December in 1991. That's a full 34 years ago. And it only emerged almost a decade after she'd taken her own life that she had been taken advantage of, which is polite speak for abused, in the care of an NHS mental health hospital, which in many respects answered one of the questions about the curved ball of why she actually chose to take her own life when she did. I've been talking to various health professionals this week, people working in health and care in all kinds of roles, about this idea of ethical feeding. One of my if I was a mastermind, candidate, not that that's ever going to happen, I'd like to talk about something like willful blindness, because I've got a real interest in that topic. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, do please pick up a copy of a book by a lady called Margaret Heffernan called Willful Blindness: Why We Ignore the Obvious at Our Peril. One of the results of willful blindness is this process of what we call ethical fading. It's not a term that Tom Bell's made up. It's been doing the rounds for many, many years. And I've been speaking to health professionals this week because there's a sense, isn't there, that when something bad happens, that it's a one-off. It's an unpredictable thing. It's a curved ball that comes from nowhere that you couldn't see coming. You couldn't have anticipated it. And it's interesting because for those of you that like the work of, I think he's called Nicholas Nassim Taleb. He wrote a wonderful book. He's written a series of books actually. My favourite is called Skin in the Game, and there are some wonderful insights in that book. He talks about how people use the excuse of the curved ball. He phrases it differently, but people use the excuse of the curved ball to say, "Oh, we couldn't have seen that coming." And he talks about the banking crash of 2008, where people were prepared to take all the rewards for the things that they said they couldn't see coming, but when the shit hit the fan, everybody went, "Ooh, didn't see that coming. You can't blame us for that." The reality is, though, I think if they'd looked in the right places and made time to listen to and talk to the right people, they could have prevented it. And I think that also goes for a lot of the preventable and avoidable harm that we see happening in healthcare and outside. Whether it's Hillsborough, or whether it is a healthcare tragedy like Gosport or Shrewsbury and Telford hospitals or Midstaffs, or even some of the corporate scandals, Volkswagen, the co-op. They come about through little things being let slide. We don't speak up about the little things. And so this process of ethical fading occurs when a lovely phrase, the standard you walk past is the standard you start to accept. Yeah. And once we start to walk past that little standard, that little bit of slippage, it escalates and it escalates. And it leads almost logically, if you like. Once you've created the conditions in which a climate of wrongdoing is tolerated, yeah, then it's inevitable that something's going to happen. It's entirely predictable. That's good news, by the way, because it means if you can remove that sense of everything being a curved ball, and you can start to realize that you're only justifying things with hindsight, whereas you can be foreseeing them with foresight, it allows you to deal with them and look in the right places. And a lot of it's about listening to things that you might be uncomfortable hearing. A lot of it's about choosing to make time to talk to people, to hear people's real concerns, and to understand that if you just look at the dashboards, if you just look at the metrics and the targets and the numbers and the things that are being achieved, then things will go wrong inevitably. You and I, if picture the scene, if you will, right? Okay, so you're in your car, and you're staring at the dashboard, yeah, which is the equivalent of what public services do to manage, and a lot of corporations, So they're staring at the dashboard. The dashboard says, right, you're doing the speed, that's fine. You're within the speed limit. You've got that much fuel left in the tank, that's great. Your revs are okay. Temperature's fine. Outside temperature's fine. Inside temperature's fine. You've no indicator lights on. There's no warning lights on. But at the same time, you're driving through a field towards a cliff edge. That's entirely possible. So the fact that you're staring at the dashboard is no guarantee that you are heading in the right direction. That's the point I'm making. We used to call it chasing the target and missing the point. I guess we could still call it that, couldn't we? But my point about ethical fading is that it's a slow process. And what you'll find is when we say that we couldn't have foreseen something coming, Things are never the result of just a big thing happening, or they are seldom the result of just a big thing happening. They are the logical result of lots and lots of little incremental strands. And I might have said this to you before, so forgive me, but Tom Peters has a wonderful phrase where he says that excellence is the next 5 minutes. And the point he's making is that excellence at some point in the future will be the result of the things you do in the here and now as they accumulate. Yeah. Well, the same applies to tragedy and harm. Yeah. Tragedy and harm are the result of the next 5 minutes. If you let things slide, inevitably something bad is going to happen in the future. I've exceeded my 5 minutes as ever. Thanks for watching, for listening. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay solvent, and as is harder at the moment, stay sane if you can. Ciao.